Hi again everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another speed build video in The Sims 4. Happy Sunday, I hope you guys are having the most amazing day ever so far and thank you so much for joining me here today. So today we are building a Victorian inspired family home with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and we are building in StrangerVille. I haven't built here for a really long time. I put up a poll on my community tab on YouTube a couple of days ago and asked you all which world we should build in next. StrangerVille got a couple of votes, so I thought, why not build here? I know Oasis Springs got a couple of votes as well, so we will be considering building an Oasis Springs as well very shortly, but I seem to be building in the same worlds over and over again, so I thought let's shake things up a little bit and build a totally different house than what I'm used to doing in a completely different world. So we came up with this really pretty fairy tale-esque, it looks like it's straight out of a Disney film, which was not my intention when I started this house, but when I was looking at it when it was finished I was like, this looks kind of fairy tale-y. It's not a bad thing at all, but as I said, it does end up being 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and you can fit 7 Sims in this house. So I hope you all have a family in mind for this house if you do decide to download it and use it. It is fully play tested as well, so your Sims won't have any problem navigating around the house, but we are currently working on the exterior of the build, just trying to figure out the external structure. Now, I was working from a reference image on Pinterest, of course, because I always work from reference images on Pinterest, and I found this really stunning Victorian house. I think it was yesterday morning, so Saturday morning when I found this house, and I built this over the space of 2 days. It's taken me a really long time to build actually, which was weird because when I did the external structure I was like, oh okay, this is coming together quite quickly and it's not too big inside, so it shouldn't really take me too long to furnish and to landscape, etc. I was wrong. I was incredibly wrong. It took me longer than I'd care to admit. I want to say this house took me maybe around 5 hours to build, which when you look at it you're probably thinking, why? I think that will become more apparent when we get to the inside of the house. But I would also like to point out that it took me a while to figure out colour schemes and the style that I wanted to go for. I knew I wanted it to be Victorian, but I didn't know if I wanted to give it this sort of magical-esque sort of vibe, which is the vibe that we ended up going for. The reference image I worked from on Pinterest did not have a magical vibe at all. It was just a very Victorian house. So that's where the external structure came from. But when I started adding in windows from Realm of Magic, I think that's when it started to take this odd turn into this sort of like more fantasy house. But inside it's completely normal. It's very true to the Victorian style, or at least most of it is, apart from the kids' rooms. But you'll see that when we get later on into the video. But as you can see here, we have decided on just this white paneling from the base game for the external colour, paired with this really nice green roof tiling, which I think looks really nice. I was initially going to go for like a blackish grey roof tiling, and then I thought, no, let's try something a little bit different. Let's try it with like this green, and I think it works really well actually. And I think in my true RachelPedd style, I used about 10, I'm exaggerating, like I don't even know how many different types of windows I used in this house. I tend to use around 4 or 5, sometimes even 6, and just try and make them sort of look like they belong together. So that's what we end up doing with this house. But I am really pleased with how it came out overall, and I have actually already started on next week's speed build. I'm thinking I'm going to be posting that sort of like mid to end of next week. If you do follow me, or sorry, if you are subscribed to me on YouTube, or if you follow me on my other social media platforms, I will link them down below now just so you can see what my handle is across all platforms. It is RachelPedd. It's pretty easy to find me now, but you will have already seen a sneak peek of the build that is upcoming within the next week, which I'm really excited to show you all. It's like kind of like a rustic style family house in Brindleton Bay, which was the first house that I built on my brand new PC. So this house is built on my new PC. and I'm really pleased with it all so far. I think it's running incredibly well, and RESHADE looks entirely different. I don't really know why it looks entirely different on a completely new PC, obviously a new graphics card. I'm still trying to work out the best settings for me and to sort of like make my posts look like I made them. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, RESHADE looks entirely different on this PC, so I'm still trying to work everything out. But we do now we use this curved roof piece just above the front door here, which I think looks really good. What we also do is we end up adding some cottage living roofing decor just underneath the roof here at the front, which I think looks really nice. It just adds all these kind of intricate details that you would see on a Victorian house. Victorian houses are notoriously just really pretty and intricate and detailed, and that's definitely what I wanted this house to be. There's a lovely wraparound porch that obviously wraps around the entire property, so you get views of StrangerVille on every single space on the lot, I guess. And it's really strange to me that I don't build in this world more, because I do think it's really quite stunning. And as I was saying, I think the last time I built here was, well, it was definitely last year. It was definitely last year at some point. I'm just trying to remember as to when. We built another Victorian house, and it was me on camera sort of talking through the speed build. And yeah, it just feels like it was so long ago now that I did that, and it probably is. It must be well over a year ago. So it was really nice to revisit this world, and it's crazy to me how stunning this world is. The lighting on all the lots is absolutely gorgeous. The colours, it's just stunning. And I would actually really like to make over StrangerVille. I'm not going to put any promises out there. I'm not going to put promises out there that I'm going to make huge save files or anything like that, but I would definitely like to redo a world with my own lots, and I'm trying to figure out which world to start off in. I'm really trying but I suppose we will have to wait and see. So as you can see, the external structure is still coming together. It did take me a little while to figure all this out, and I was contemplating whether or not to even put some of it in the speed build itself. But we already cut out quite a bit from the speed build footage, so we cut out all the bathrooms, because I have talked about this before. I just don't think there's any need necessarily for you guys to sort of see how I decorate bathrooms. I took out, I think it was the downstairs hallway, but I kept the upstairs hallway on the speed build randomly. Downstairs hallway we took off. I just tried to keep it as short as I possibly can, whilst showing you all as much as I possibly can as well, so that you all can all sort of see how I get everything done, and you can sort of see how I go from start to finish. I feel like I'm rambling. Anyway, I also feel like I've been talking for so long and not much has really happened with the exterior structure, but you can see right now that we are moving on to the landscaping for this particular house, and I just pull out a lot of debug trees and shrubs mainly from the get together pack. Actually, we do pop in some debug landscaping from StrangerVille and the base game as well, just to try and match the exterior sort of world and make it look like it does belong here. Although I think it does look like it belongs, I did go a little bit nuts with the trees and the shrubs, because the trees and the shrubs that you see on this lot aren't necessarily ones that you would find in the outside world, like the main ones. There are some that are in here that you do find, but a lot of it is just from get together so it's not even from the StrangerVille pack. But when I was having a look on the debug menu on StrangerVille, I know there was a lot of like cactus and there was some flowers, etc., but there weren't really many trees, if at all. So I just decided to use some trees that I feel would look good on the lot and with the house, and they were the ones from Get Together. I have my tried and true debug trees from Get Together that I love here. You can see them on the left and the right hand side of the wraparound porch right now. I love them so much. I use them in pretty much every single build that I do. I just really like the way they look. And now we are creating this pathway that leads from each sort of area of the wraparound porch. So we do have 4 entrances for the porch, which I feel was quite important because it does wrap around the entire house. So wherever your Sims are, they can exit the house, they can access the porch. I think that was really important. There is an outside eating area, which I add. Again, off camera, we're already looking at like 27 minutes for the speed build. And as I said, the only things I don't include are the bathrooms, one of the hallways, and then the exterior landscaping right at the end of the build. But it's just me sort of following through what we've already done at the front and kind of replicating it at the back, just so that it looks quite cohesive. Well, so that it looks cohesive and fluid. So I didn't really feel the need to include that in the speed build. Again, if you ever want me to start including more footage in speed builds, please let me know. But I try to trim it down as best I can and as much as I can so that it's not too long. I hope that makes sense. It's not down to laziness or anything like that. It's purely down to what I think you all want to see and how much you all want to see. Anyway, refining the path and also figuring out placement for the landscaping as well. I cannot believe that it took me, from the looks of things, I'm just having a look at the footage now, it took me probably 50, it's like a 50-50 split, which is very unusual for me. So it took me probably about half the time to do the exterior and half the time to do the interior, give or take. And that's very, very, very unusual for me. Normally the exterior comes together so quickly for me, and as much as this one did, I made so many choices and went back on so many things, and I think it just took me a while, and that's also okay. Sometimes it doesn't come to you as easily as you would like, but as you can see, we are on the inside already. We have figured out pretty much the floor plan for the inside. We do end up amending this living room space ever so slightly. We remove this archway that leads to what will be the kitchen further on in the speed build, and the reason for that is that at the moment the living room is just smushed all to the right hand side of the room, and it just looks kind of silly. So we've got this vacant space here behind the sofa. So what we end up doing is removing the archway and just opening up the entire room so that we could fill the entire room with furniture. So you'll see that in just a second. I was trying to time it so that the screen did it while I said that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It didn't work. It's okay. So you'll see in just a minute that we do end up changing the structure here. Oh, I was thinking I did it a lot sooner than this. That's slightly embarrassing. Okay, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm also really put off because normally on my other PC, whilst I was looking back on my speed build footage, the fans would be like going, and they'd be going loud. This one, I can't hear any fans, so it's really unnerving to me. I feel like I'm all out of sorts, but the archway is still there, so it took me a while to realise that we should have removed the archway. The idea was to have this sort of walkway through to the kitchen dining area, and then I realised, I was like, well, is that really needed? Do I really need to do that? And then we came away from it entirely. So here we go. Yeah, we did it. So I just opened up the entire living room, and it just makes so much more sense because then the fireplace then moved to this wall here, and then it just came together really, really well. I think this is probably one of my favourite rooms of the house. I think it looks really nice. I use a mishmash of items from so many different packs to try and get across the Victorian-esque style, especially on the interior, because the exterior is so obviously Victorian. I did not want the interior to not match the outside. So although it might not be traditionally Victorian on the inside, it's definitely got some Victorian elements, and that's definitely what we were trying to go for here. So as I said, 7 Sims can fit in this house, and you'll see more about that when we get onto the upstairs. But 7 Sims, that's not too bad considering it's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So you try and work that out for a minute, and no, it's like 2 twin rooms, a master bedroom, and then a single room. That's 7, right? 2, 4, 6, yeah, 7 Sims. So this is ideal for your larger families, and if your Sim families fancy moving out to Strangerville, go for it. If you want to put this lot in somewhere like Brindleton Bay or Willow Creek or Newcrest, I don't think it would stick out too badly, to be honest. It just depends on how you've sort of built the other houses, the surrounding houses, I suppose. It depends what style you're going for in those neighbourhoods, but it definitely fits into StrangerVille. So if you don't have the StrangerVille pack, I only used a few items from StrangerVille, I believe. I used quite a few items from the paranormal pack because they were kind of fitting into the theme that we were going for on the inside. But anyway, I digress. So this is the kitchen dining space. It's an odd shape, but I think we make the best of it. I feel like I say that in every single one of my speed builds. It's an odd shape, but my floor plans never make any sense. My floor plans are more often than not quite awkward, I feel, but somehow I kind of make them work. And I think in a Victorian house they can be a little bit quirky, so I feel like it kind of works in this house. You'll have to let me know if you agree or disagree. But anyway, yes, as I was saying, this is the kitchen. We do use these cabinets from, I believe they're from Vampires, from the Vampires pack. Yes they are, and I think they look quite nice here actually. And we put this sort of faux island table, which is of course just a hallway table from Cats and Dogs, teamed with a little chair from Paranormal, and I think it looks quite nice actually. We use a few items from Cottage Living as well. Whilst I was researching Victorian interiors, I did get this feeling that they were kind of cottage-esque. Definitely not cottage, but they had elements of like the cottage feel to them. Something very homey and just cozy about the interior of Victorian houses, and that's definitely what I was trying to get across with this house, and hopefully we achieve that. I think this house has a lot of character. Externally, I think it's possibly one of my favourite builds that I've ever done. Internally, I think I've done better, but I still think it turned out quite nicely considering the floor plan was always going to be a little bit awkward. So, funny story, I was actually going to demolish the kitchen because I was thinking, I'm not really liking this. I need to step away and have a look at some Victorian kitchens. When I was having a look at Victorian kitchens off camera, I realised that this is actually quite accurate in terms of a Victorian kitchen. So I decided to just keep it. And then I kind of took the pressure off myself and just thought, look, it's a Victorian-esque house, but that doesn't necessarily need to mean that every single thing inside the house needs to be Victorian. So once I took the pressure off myself, I feel like I was able to just free myself up to do whatever I wanted to do with the house, and I think that helped me massively. So I ended up just using a mishmash of items and just putting together whatever I thought looked good. And this is the end result. I don't think it's too bad at all, considering I don't really know too much about the Victorian-esque sort of style, but I did try to do as much research as I could. I'm having trouble with my S's today, I don't know why. As much research as I could to properly execute the house. Does that make sense? Probably not, it's me that's trying to explain it. Anyway, adding the usual kitchen clutter, and I've been wanting to use these little like bird portraits for so long. I tried to use them in my previous speed build and for some reason it just didn't come to fruition, but in this house I think they work really, really well. There's also a downstairs study in this house. Now initially I was going to turn it into a bedroom, but I decided to turn it into it's like a study. It's not an office because there's no computer, it's just a study, and I feel like that would be something that's in a Victorian style house. You might have like a separate study downstairs, especially in a house of this size. And as I said at the start, when I did this house I was like, oh, it's not going to take me long to do the interior at all, and then when I got to doing the floor plan I was like, oh no, this is actually it's not a big house, I wouldn't say, but it's definitely not small either. It's probably on the larger side, and I shocked myself. I was like, oh no, this is so much bigger than I thought. It's okay, it's one of those things. We did it eventually. I'll be honest, it was a little bit soul destroying, especially at the end, but I think that's because I was just trying to get it done, most of it done in one day. So yesterday I did the exterior and then the kitchen and the living room. Today I've done the rest of the house, and I think it's just destroyed me a little bit. It has. And I hate saying that about building because obviously I absolutely love building houses. But yes, this one did take me quite a long time to do. Study is almost done, and then we move on to the upstairs where we try and work out the floor plan and we try and decide what kind of bedrooms we want to go for upstairs. So we're about to leave. We are about to leave this room, I promise. Finally, floor plan upstairs. So this is me just trying to work it all out, and it took me a little while just because I didn't really know how many bedrooms I could fit. And then I also realised again, the upstairs was really quite large. The house is very deceptive. I think from the outside it probably looks like a medium-sized house, and then when you get inside you're like, oh, it's actually quite large. So we start on a room here which I envisioned to be for twin girls who are probably children. They're children. There's a lot of toys in here. It's very youthful, it's very bright and colourful and airy, and I'm just really, really happy with how this room came out. We put a really nice playroom just off from the room there in the sort of tower, I call it, from the exterior of the house, which I'm really glad I actually utilised that space, because I've done houses before with towers, quote unquote towers, and I haven't utilised the space. So it was really, really nice and refreshing that I was able to do that in this house. So as you can see right now, we are about to move on to that portion of the room. So we end up putting just like a craft table, a bookcase, a chair for the Sims. They can just sit down and read. Mum and Dad can maybe come into their room on an evening and read them a book in there, and then they can fall asleep in this really, really nice bedroom. But yes, here we are. Craft table, as I was saying. It's a really, really nice space actually. The only thing that did annoy me was that really odd piece of trim that's sticking onto the interior of the wall, which is a little bit annoying, but there wasn't much I could do about it. I tried to delete it, and unfortunately it deleted the entire tile's worth of trim, and it just ended up looking a little bit strange really. So we end up just leaving it as is. I hope it's not going to pose too much of a problem when you are playing, if you decide to play in this house, but I'm hoping not. It's definitely something that I could probably look past. If you're taking screenshots, just make sure you point the camera a little bit further down so that you don't get it in shot. But yeah, I've just put a couple of book bags, like backpacks here, and then we move on to the one and only single room of the house. I envisioned a teen boy in this room. I definitely tried to make it a little bit older than the room that we've just done. It's a little bit darker, there's more blues, it's a little bit geekier. I really like this room. This bedroom ends up being probably my favourite in the house, which is odd because I normally prefer doing like pinky, cutesy rooms, but this one I really like it. It's really cozy and it just looks really, really lived in, and like a teen boy lives in this room. And yeah, I really, really like it. I mean, can you imagine living in a house like this and having a window like this in your bedroom? I mean, that is stunning, right? Not that he probably doesn't even appreciate it, but can you imagine? It'd be absolutely gorgeous, wouldn't it? There's a lot of posters on the walls, and I'm just trying to make it as youthful as I can whilst maintaining the story that this child is definitely older than his twin sisters. That was the idea. We put a really nice chair in the corner here as well, so he can grab a book and just have a sit down, do his homework or whatever. I didn't put any desks, I don't think, in any of the kids' rooms. So if your kids need desks, by all means put one in if you can fit them in. I definitely... Obviously it's 4 bedrooms and the bedrooms are a decent size, but I think I'd have struggled to put in an office desk in this room. I chose Clutter, okay? I chose Clutter over the computer desk. And I'm not going to apologise. Anyway, this room's pretty much done already. And now we have moved on to the twin toddlers room. So I was envisioning that these parents had 2 sets of twins. So they've got twin girls, they've got an older boy, and then they've got twin toddlers as well. So they've got their hands full. It's definitely a house that's very family oriented. You can house a lot of Sims in here. Any adjustments that you want to make, I think this house would absolutely take it. If you need to delete one of the beds and put in an office and put in a computer desk or whatever you need to do, I think it would be really, really easy to make any adjustments that you need. So not too much going on in this room, to be honest. I just tried to make it really colourful and youthful and a little bit chaotic, just to emulate the fact that, I don't think that's the right word, just to sort of show that there are 2 toddlers living in this room, and it's probably very, very, very chaotic. I have just realised that I didn't include a toddler potty in any of the bathrooms. I do that quite a lot. I'm so sorry, but you might want to pop some like toddler potties in the bathrooms. I do apologise. I did put a pet bed in the study, and then I remembered off camera to put a pet bowl in the kitchen, so at least I didn't forget absolutely everything. So after this room we do move on to the master bedroom, I believe, which is the final room that we work on in this house. This is the master bedroom here with this beautiful bay window, and we do have an ensuite which is just off to the right, and then we have like a walk-in closet there, which is basically just 2 wardrobes with 2 mirrors on either side. It's really nothing special, but the room was just going to be too big, so I thought, yeah, let's put it in a walk-in wardrobe, and that should work out just fine. So we are nearing the end of the video, so I'm going to wrap up here, but I really hope you enjoyed this video. You can grab this house from the gallery right now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box below. You can get them completely free from Sim File Share. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here today. You guys take care, and I will see you next time I post a video. Bye!